What's going on
My
there?
girlfriend's daughter is killed. Yeah.
What's going on there?
My daughter's boyfriend killed her. He chopped her head off.
It started with a call no mother should ever have to make. On a quiet June morning in Alton, Illinois, Heidi Noel dialed 911, her voice trembling as she told the dispatcher that she couldn't reach her daughter, Liese. The phone had gone silent for days. She had come to check on her, but when she opened that apartment door, what she saw didn't just end her world, it shattered the entire community's sense of safety. Inside the small apartment, something unspeakable waited, a scene so horrifying that even seasoned officers would later admit they had never seen anything like it. In the corner of that room lay the body of 22-year-old Liese Dodd, a young woman whose future had been full of hope and anticipation. She was 8 months pregnant, preparing for a baby shower that weekend. But what police found beside her body revealed a level of brutality that defied comprehension. Liese had been decapitated and her head was missing. That discovery would set off a frantic manhunt through Alton and the greater St. Louis area, leading investigators straight to one man, the person she once loved. To those who knew her, Liese Dodd was gentle, warm, and trusting. Friends say she had a soft laugh, the kind that could light up a room. She was born and raised in Alton, Illinois, a small Mississippi River town where life moved slow and people still waved at strangers from their porches. After high school, Liese stayed close to home, working small retail jobs while planning for something bigger. In early 2022, she found out she was pregnant. Though her relationship with the baby's father, Deundrea Holloway, had been rocky, she told her mother she wanted to raise the child and start fresh. Her mother, Heidi, remembered the excitement as they prepared for the baby shower. There were pastel decorations, a guest list, even a chosen name. But behind the cheerful plans, something darker was brewing. Friends later told investigators that Liese and Holloway had broken up several times before. Their relationship was volatile, one day full of affection, the next clouded by jealousy, shouting, and suspicion. When she discovered she was pregnant, things got even more complicated. Holloway's behavior became erratic. He'd show up unannounced, accuse her of seeing someone else, and disappear for days at a time. By June 2022, Liese had finally decided she was done. She wanted peace, stability for herself and her unborn daughter. Her mother said she was so ready for this next chapter. But as that fateful weekend approached, Liese stopped responding to texts and calls. Her friends thought she was busy preparing for the shower. Her mother, though, felt a growing dread. And when she drove to her apartment on June 9th, she walked into a nightmare that would haunt her forever. The apartment was small, with floral curtains and baby gifts piled in one corner. Nothing seemed out of place at first until Heidi noticed the silence. No movement, no sound. Then she stepped farther in. The moment she saw the body, she screamed for help. Police arrived within minutes, and what they found was one of the most gruesome crime scenes in the history of the town. Liese had been killed, and her body showed clear signs of a violent struggle. Her head was missing from the scene. Officers immediately locked down the area, calling in homicide investigators and forensic teams from across the county. Outside, curious neighbors gathered, whispering, terrified. Word spread fast through Alton. A young pregnant woman had been found decapitated. Detectives began searching dumpsters and nearby lots. Within hours, they made a horrifying discovery: a human head in a trash container behind the apartment building. DNA would later confirm it was Liese's. The brutality stunned even experienced officers. Madison County prosecutors would later describe the crime as beyond comprehension. But who could do something like this, and why? When investigators combed through Liese's phone, one name came up again and again in her recent messages: Deundrea Holloway, her ex-boyfriend, the man who had fathered the child she was carrying. Detectives quickly learned that Deundrea S. Holloway, then 22 years old, had a long history of instability and aggression. He'd been arrested multiple times for minor offenses, disorderly conduct, property damage, but nothing that hinted at the horror he was capable of. When police visited his last known address, he was already gone. Witnesses said they had seen him near Liese's apartment earlier that week, pacing outside. Others recalled hearing loud arguing late one night, followed by a chilling silence. Over the next 48 hours, investigators launched a manhunt across the St. Louis region. They checked hospitals, bus stations, and even homeless shelters. Meanwhile, the autopsy confirmed what detectives feared. Liese had died from sharp force injuries consistent with a violent beheading. She was approximately 8 months pregnant. Her unborn child, a girl, did not survive. Forensic teams recovered DNA and fingerprints at the scene, all pointing to Holloway. But it was an unexpected call that finally broke the case open. A police officer in nearby Gillespie, Illinois, reported that a man matching Holloway's description had been arrested for assaulting a woman, his own mother. When they ran his name, the system lit up with the murder warrant from Alton. When detectives arrived, Holloway showed no sign of remorse. He reportedly said nothing when told he was charged with Liese's murder, but his eyes, officers later said, had no life in them. Back in Alton, prosecutors began piecing together the final hours of Liese's life. They believed that Holloway had gone to her apartment in a rage after learning the baby shower was planned without him. A violent argument broke out. In a moment of fury, he attacked her, using a weapon to end her life in a way so brutal it shocked the entire region. Then, investigators believe he took her head and placed it in a dumpster outside, trying to cover his tracks before fleeing. When news of Liese's death spread, the community was heartbroken and furious. Vigils were held across Alton, with residents lighting candles and releasing balloons for Liese and her unborn daughter. Her mother, Heidi, stood before cameras, her voice breaking as she said she was just a beautiful soul. She didn't deserve this. No one does. Prosecutors charged Deundrea Holloway with first-degree murder, intentional homicide of an unborn child, dismemberment of a human body, and concealment of a homicide. But even as the charges mounted, the legal process was slow. Holloway's mental state became a key issue. Psychiatrists were ordered to determine whether he was fit to try stand. Reports described erratic behavior, talking to himself, refusing to cooperate, even claiming to have no memory of the killing. For months, he was shuffled between jail and psychiatric evaluations. Heidi attended every court date, hoping for answers. Each delay felt like another wound that wouldn't heal. Years passed and the trial faced more postponements, but in January 2025, after nearly 3 years, Holloway finally pled guilty to the charges. The courtroom was silent as the judge sentenced him to 60 years in prison. Prosecutors revealed haunting details from the investigation, the brutality of the crime, the lack of remorse, the chilling precision of the act. The judge called it one of the most disturbing cases ever to come through Madison County. Because of the nature of his sentence, Holloway must serve the full 60 years with only limited credit for time served. Still, for Liese's family, no punishment could bring her back. In the wake of the murder, Alton changed. Residents spoke of locking their doors earlier, checking in on loved ones more often. Churches held safety meetings for women. The story went national, sparking debates about domestic violence, mental health, and how the system often fails to protect victims before it's too late. Heidi Noel, Liese's mother, became an outspoken advocate for domestic violence awareness. She told reporters, "We can't let another young woman be taken because someone ignored the signs." Local news outlets continued to cover the case, even after sentencing, reminding viewers that the unborn baby, whom Liese had planned to name Mila, was also a victim. But due to a state Supreme Court ruling, prosecutors were unable to count the unborn child as a separate murder victim under Illinois law. It was a technicality that haunted the family. He took 2 lives, not 1. As the years go by, the memory of that June morning still lingers over Alton. The small apartment on Bolivar Street has since been rented out again, but neighbors say it never feels the same. Every spring, someone leaves flowers by the dumpster where her remains were found. In the end, this story isn't just about a horrific crime. It's about a young woman who wanted a future, about a mother who lost her child and her grandchild in one moment of senseless violence. In the words of her mother, Liese was kind. She wanted to see the good in people, but evil found her anyway. It's a chilling reminder that even in the quietest towns, behind the doors of ordinary homes, darkness can be waiting. And sometimes, the most terrifying monsters aren't strangers. They're the ones we once trusted with our hearts.